Okay, this is my Freecell video tutorial, episode 1. This episode will be covering two topics. First, I'll quickly go over the rules of the game, and second, I'll give you some basic strategies to get you started. So first, the object of the game is to move all the cards up into the foundations here, starting with the aces, then the twos, and so on. But as you can see, all of our aces are buried under all these cards. So you can't just throw all these cards up into the Freecells because there's too many of them. Instead, Freecell is all about creatively moving all these cards temporarily by building tableau, so that we can get to the cards that we need. The 4 Freecells are provided as temporary storage space, and each Freecell can hold 1 card. Now, where Freecell differs from Solitaire is that you can only move 1 card at a time. You can't move an entire tableau by dragging its top card. Instead, if you want to move an entire tableau, you must ensure you have enough Freecells to do so. When you move a tableau, what Freecell is actually doing is quickly moving 1 card at a time up into the Freecells, then moving the base card onto its destination, and then replacing the cards from the Freecells. If you'll notice in this game, I could move this 8 of diamonds onto the 9 of spades. However, when I try to do so, Freecell tells me that I can only move 4 cards and I need space to move 5. The reason for this is because if I single step all of these moves, it becomes clear why I can't do that. I don't have a Freecell to move the 7 to so that I can move the 8 onto the 9. So, when you're playing Freecell, you'll want to bear that in mind and be careful how you use your Freecells. Never move a card into a Freecell unless you know that you have a place to put it later. Okay. Now that you know the rules, I'm going to show you some basic strategies. The first objective in every Freecell game is to clear out an entire column, giving you an empty column. Empty columns are vital to winning because they enable you to move longer tableau, and they also function as an additional Freecell to hold any card you like. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these aces first. Now we have to decide which column we want to try and clear first. In this particular puzzle, I'm going to clear the 3rd column. But before we start moving any cards, we need to carefully plan out our moves so that we don't paint ourselves into a corner later. Let's go through the steps one by one. When I first take a look at the column, I decide where the problem areas are going to be. In this column, we're holding both of the red 7s, which means we're going to need both of the black 8s in order to clear this column. One of them is buried under 4 cards, and the other is buried under 1 card. Keep those in mind, and we'll get to those in a little bit. In the meantime, let's get rid of the rest of these cards. This 9 of spades can go on this red 10 over here. The 5 of diamonds can go on this black 6. And this jack of clubs can go on this queen of diamonds beside it. That gets us to the red 7s. So let's get to this black 8 first. It's the easiest. Sitting on top of it now we have the 10 of diamonds followed by the 9 of spades, which we moved over there earlier. We also have a black jack that's sitting down here, and that would be a good place to put this 10. We have a tableau of 2 cards here, the 10 and the 9, and we have plenty of Freecells to move a 2-card tableau, so we'll move this 10 onto the jack. That gets us access to this 8 of clubs. So we'll move the 7 of hearts onto that 8. Next we need to gain access to this 8. So this 6 down here can move over to the black 7 that we moved over here onto the 8 of clubs earlier. The 2 of hearts can move over to this 3 of spades. And now the jack of hearts needs a place to go. There's a queen here, a black queen that we could use, but it's covered up by a red 8. We have a black 9 that's sitting down here at this point, and we'll put that 8 on that 9, and that gets us a place for this jack to go. The ace will automatically go up to the home cells, and then that gets us the 8 of spades. So we'll put the red 7 onto that 8, and the last thing to do is to move this 4 of spades onto a red 5 somewhere. We have this red 5 that we moved down here earlier, and that will be a good place as any to put it. And then that clears out our column. Now, if you got lost, don't worry, because it takes a bit of practice to get to the point where you can visualize all those steps. But I never plan my steps further than the point of clearing 1 column, because at that point it gets pretty easy and I think it's unnecessary. So I'll go ahead and step through these for you. Now that you've cleared 1 column, you can decide what you're going to do next. Typically, a good idea is to find the large cards like kings and place them down first. In this case, I'm actually going to deviate from that just a little bit because this column is so short, I can gain access to it very quickly by moving just a couple of cards. Now what I'm going to do is try to put a king right there. This king right here is covered up by 4 cards, but 3 of those are actually a tableau. The reason I moved this one onto its own empty column is so that I could start building a tableau down here. Now I have access to this king, which I'm going to place there. You'll also notice that this tableau, starting with the red queen, is getting quite long, so I want to move that quickly before it gets too big that I can't move it anymore. So to do that, I'm going to gain another empty column and move that entire tableau onto the king. And the reason I needed that is because Freecell single-stepped the moves for me by placing the 4, 5, 6, and 7 up into the Freecells. Then this 8 went into the empty column. Then the 9, 10, and Jack went into the Freecells, and the Queen went to its destination, and everything followed back from there. So that's a good way to move long tableaus, is to keep an empty column at all times. Now that I've got a pretty good sized tableau built down from a black king, let's go ahead and build one down from a red king. Here's a red king right here that's not covered up by very many cards. So we'll just move that into the empty space and start building down the cards that we have to go on top of that. Now I want to talk a little bit about sorting. A sorted column is one where all of the cards are descending in numerical value, and it doesn't even matter if they skip. For instance, this column right here goes Queen, 3, 3, King. If I move the King somewhere else, now this column is sorted, even though these don't necessarily go on top of each other. If all of the columns are sorted in this manner, then you've won the game because the cards will all automatically fly up to the foundations. So we're going to take a look at the leftover columns that are not sorted, and we're going to try to sort those so that we can win the game. So the unsorted columns are the 1st, the 2nd, and the 7th. You'll notice that a lot of the cards in those columns all belong in the same tableau, starting with the black king, red queen, black jack, red 10, black 9, red 8, black 7, and so on. So all of these go to the same destination right here. So we'll work through that quickly. And we're done. Now there's only one column left that's not sorted, and that's the 2nd column. So all we have to do is just move a couple of cards out of the way, and we win. So that's it for episode 1 of my Freecell video tutorial. I would appreciate any feedback you have, and you can let me know if the learning curve was too fast or too slow, as well as just give me suggestions for future episodes. Also, if you have a particular Freecell game number that you can't beat, go ahead and send it to me, and I'll do an episode specifically on that one. Any and all other comments are welcome, and I'll see you next time.